Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I guess I would ask for somebody to take notes, John.
Could somebody take notes? Our good secretary isn't here.
I couldn't take notes in a classroom. You're a teacher.
Does not bode well.
Okay.
No volunteers?
Me to take notes? I'm not on the board. Oh,
Okay.
good.
Okay. All the members are present except for Janice. Okay, can we look at the agenda, have a motion for approval of the agenda?
I have two items under other to add. One will be sales tax and the other will be BORN, B-O-R-N, Learning Trail. Otherwise, I have no other additions.
Okay. If you look at the minutes for August 11th, we need a motion for approval.
I so move.
Second?
Approval of the minutes for June 1st.
Yeah, June 1st, two separate ones.
Your motion?
I move to approve the minutes of June 1st.
Favor?
Aye.
I have nothing to report in terms of grants.
Oh, did we get the August 11th minutes? There's two.
Yes, we did.
Oh, you did on both? Okay. Okay.
Okay, news about the amphitheater.
Okay, good evening, everybody, here, Park Board members, audience, and those watching at home. So welcome to a Park Board meeting. The amphitheater, as of last Saturday, held our last event out there. It was a very successful year. At this time, we are packing things up and putting them in mothballs for another year. But to report the initial numbers of attendees and tickets sold out there from national events to private was a very good number this year. With the total tickets sold for all events was about 44,500. People bought tickets to attend out there, and just 38,956 actually walked through the gate. So it turned out to be about just shy of 8%, 7.9% no-shows. Promoters, they like to see 10 and nothing higher than that, and so we beat that. So I feel really confident that was a good year for the city and the promoters. That was 11 national acts. We had Grease for 3 nights, Citric Hair event, and then the Flannel Fest that ended on Saturday night. That went over well. We kind of missed, the weather looked a lot better even the day before, and then turned into a little bit of a stinker on the weather. But as far as I know, everybody had a good time out there. I had to leave early, so I didn't stick around for deer camp, but it sounded like the rain put a little bit of a damper on that part of it. My staff is tired. So 11 events plus those. Next year, they're shooting for at least 15, if not to 20. So, you know, it's going to increase the workload out there. Something we're going to have to figure out, you know, to get my staff some more help. Other than that, I really don't have anything else to report on the AMP that I can think of unless somebody's got some questions, so I will open it up for that if anybody has anything. Did any of you attend the Final Fest? Nope, okay. Okay. So,
Okay, moving on to our landscape coordinator.
Good evening.
here comes Janice.
We are at the end of our planting season. It's, happy and sad all in one. So what we have been doing though is we have cleaned up all of the pots, except for a few over at the maintenance shop. We've gotten most of our gardens cleaned out and prepped for spring. We have also been pre-planning some things for next year by buying a few perennials that are going to be an easier maintenance, easier for our volunteers, and also cost effective, so we're not repurchasing annuals. So we've been doing some of that pre-planning for next year. Today, we had a group of folks out at the ledge, and we cleaned out like 30 pots and got those ready for winterization. So we are really looking good right now. There's a handful of things that still need to be done. 2 months ago, I think when we were here talking, we spoke about the rock garden on the Healthy Living Trail and what a weed bed it was. And, kind of if you build it, they will come, because the minute we started talking about it within our volunteers, there was a spark that ignited, and these folks just went nuts on it. They really did. I mean, the weeds. The rock garden looks about 80% better than it did 2 months ago. So kudos to the volunteers. I cannot thank them enough. We've got a handful in our audience tonight, and whatever you see in the city that looks good, it's because of these folks. This handful of about 25 folks that have more heart. I've worked with many volunteer groups before, none as dedicated and driven to make this city look good as these folks that we're working with. So thank you to them. We will be having our final volunteer meeting on the 20th of October down at Community Park, and you're all welcome to come and join us.
What time is that?
5 p.m. See,
Okay.
They keep me on track.
Chair of the Park Board, I want to thank you people. Our city is much better for being what the work you've done, and you take a lot of pride in what you've done. Thank you again so much. Okay, moving on to park updates.
Excuse me. The only thing I want to bring up to the park board is, well, I guess two things. One is the Jagello Park down on 3rd Street. It's probably been 5 years. Time goes by fast, so I'm not exactly sure how many years old this is, but we had a Boy Scout put in what they call a Gaga ball pit, if any of you remember that, and it's like an octagon wood structure that they play dodgeball in. That's about all I can tell you. I've never done it. So it's been built. It is not getting used. It's just full of weeds in there. So I'm gonna have my staff, when we get a chance, just to take it down, and we'll salvage the wood. Nice 2x12s in there, so nice and aged and cured. It also gets a little bit in the way a little bit when we plow and snow down that back alley. The other thing that came up was, since the last meeting, was the batting cages at River's Edge, which we approved back in February. So council members wanted to revisit that at a council meeting. And as a recommending board, I should have brought that forward to the council, and I didn't. So ended up putting a stop work order on the structure down there until the council meeting, and that was last week. We had a meeting on it, explained what the rationale was and why it's there, ended up getting approved, so. It was just down there before the meeting, and they haven't done any more work on it. But one of the issues was appearance, and I did work with the Babe Ruth Association, stating that if in fact the netting and that does start to look tattered or dragging and sagging, that they will immediately go down and tighten everything back up again. Another thought was to put windscreen like what's on pickleball courts, wrap that around there. Yeah, it could be done. I think it's gonna be expensive, and we'd have to add more poles, intermediate poles, because the pole spacing for batting cage is probably 10 feet on center, where this we're gonna need more like 6 feet on center to pull it tight. The other thought that we had with my staff, Dean actually came up with it, the street park supervisor said, why don't we plant some trees around it and do some sort of screening with trees, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, get more trees in our parks. So we'll probably look at that, but that'll be in the spring. So that's really all I can tell you right now with any park, any specific parks. Park upgrades, I may as well just go into that. So this is in regards to Rivers Edge Park, what we call the quad facility down there, the original. Council approved, and I brought that forward last time, that they approved re-roofing the 8 dugouts with shingles. That is done, completed. Re-roof the quad building, and I was glad to see that was done today. I don't know if they finished yesterday or when they did that. Still work that's approved that hasn't been done down there is new stainless steel counters and new roll-up doors for the concession building. Not sure when that's gonna happen, but there's no really big rush on it. All the metal doors for the building are gonna be replaced. I gotta meet the guy look at colors next week sometime. We still have to finish all the soffits and the fascia out there, and then we're gonna be working with our electrician from Erickson Electric that will look at doing new soffit lights. The old ones were the old incandescent big cans, and they always got damaged, so we're looking at some better, easier ways to put in LED lights that are more vandal proof, and if they do damage it, it's easier to fix and put back in again. So that's what we got coming there. As far as community park, the council authorized re-roofing the Octagon building and the beer stand. Is that right? We call it beer stand as a square. So that was awarded, and also moving forward, the big tree that's growing into the roof of the Octagon will be coming down. It's a big oak tree. So if we're gonna re-roof it, we need to remove that. So I don't know when that's coming down. I see it's tagged, so we're having a private tree company come in and do that. They will need to set up a 45-foot crane to grab that big branch that's growing over the top of it, because there's no way my staff could handle this, bringing it down without taking a chance of having it drop on the building, and then we'd lose the building. So that's gonna move forward. The roofing should be done before the end of the year. And then lastly, the only other facility that's getting work done this year is the Boy Scout building. And council authorized the shingles for that. The Boy Scouts and their, more likely their fathers, probably more than the kids, but will be doing all the work on it. So all the city had to do is buy the shingles. Siding and that, I can talk in a second, but there's some issues with the outdoor lighting around there, so I'm gonna work with the electrician to make sure that we've got decent lighting on the building above their doors. So that's really where we're at this time.
Did they go with asphalt shingles? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know the sheet you had handed out
gave a quote on both asphalt and steel, so.
Yep, everything was, they wanted asphalt shingles to bring the cost down, so.
Okay.
Right. So the only other park upgrade, and we're gonna deal with it in the spring, is one of the Babe Ruth members, board members, sent an email to me and the council about, a gravelled area between two dugouts on Quick Trip Fields. And it's supposed to have been concreted, there should be concrete sidewalks and trails leading all around that, but we didn't do that back in 2018 because of the cost of it. So we're working internally with Dean and Jason down there to try to figure out what to do. Not really quite sure. I think some people are fine with it and some aren't, so it's he said, she said. We'll try to figure out what best we can do. So that's all I have on park upgrades or any of the work that's being done this year, unless there's questions.
You brought up Gigello Park. I don't ever see that being used. It's very small, there's no parking. It's a bad location, and that neighborhood doesn't seem to have a lot of kids in it either.
Right, yeah. I know council looked at that years ago, of possibly getting rid of it, but. Years ago, just a neighborhood kids. Right, right. Hardly ever used it, just the local kids used it.
Yeah, they did. Not much anymore.
No.
My concern also is if they're going to park and use it, it'd be across the street, and that would be really dangerous. People walking across that road to use that little park too, if that in fact they were doing it. So I think that's kind of a combination of things I'm concerned about.
Okay. You want any other further direction that you want to push to the council, or you're just concerned about the safety?
Not at this point. I just think if there's a way to utilize it differently or something like that, it would make some sense to me.
Yeah, I know I had a little bit of discussion with the mayor. Again, timing is, don't know what day it is even today. You know, like maybe we don't need all the big parking area at the library. Maybe we turn some of that into grass and move the play equipment over there. So maybe it gets used more in that location than it would over in Gigello, but I'm not quite sure the process to turn a park back to either to a private citizen. I'm guessing there's some sort of legality work that has to be done, and I think if it was going to happen, that the council would definitely want your input and then probably public input. You know, reach out to the neighborhood and see where they're at, what their thoughts are. But I know the times that I've seen anybody there, it's with strollers, so you knew they walked down. But you're right, it's not really not a good situation with it for parking.
Okay, moving on to the rental fees, and we got a sheet here. Do you have a proposed rate for this coming year?
I am going to, where did my sheet go? We haven't raised for a couple of years, and quite frankly, with the economy and where everything is at, and I don't see a big problem. You can see our numbers are they're getting back up there again. Obviously, 2020 was a COVID year, but they're nothing like they used to be in years past. It would be my recommendation to keep the rate the same.
Okay, we have a motion to that effect.
But I relish that you guys certainly have some
I
discussion.
would agree with you, Bill. Until you start getting more people to use it, I think leaving it where it's at, and it's primarily Waite Park residents that are renting it out. So I would move to approve the fee schedule as it now exists.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Move. Okay, that will take care of that. The budget for next year.
Just a second, John. Just want to make sure I get the note done, or direction. All right, so for the budget, I put in, Wayne brought his copy, I don't know if others have, all the extra work that needs to be done for the rest of the buildings. So the balance of the work that needs to be done to finish off the upgrades that I brought forward to the council and park board months ago is in the 2023 budget for a total of $216,000. And that will take care of the rest of the upgrades to the octagon and the beer stand, mainly electrical, stainless steel counters, and redoing the doors. Now, when I talk about doors, it's the swing-up doors that are out there. They're not really the safest thing in the world. Some paint, new soffit and fascia, all that. So that's for both of those buildings for about $110,000. This does not fix the concrete in there. The concrete is cracked up, and we do have some drainage issues, but that will bring those buildings back up to as best to like new as we can be. The other part is the Boy Scout building is in for about $77,000, and that's to re-site it and to put in a couple doors that need to be replaced. So, warming house roof for replacement, again, that will come back as a asphalt shingled roof for $7,000, and then lastly, it's the South Community Park Pavilion out here by the police department, where they do their flower sales, is what I think you guys do out there. That's a new roofing and soffit and fascia for $21,500. So at this moment, it's still in the budget. We had our preliminary budget with the council. They authorized it as is. We'll have other meetings in November to see where they're at. And then we'll know in December if they approve it or not. So, be nice to get that done and move that forward. The other things that I'm working on as far as budget, and I'm not gonna get it done this year, but next year, my goal is to work with Dean and some of my staff is to set up a capital improvement plan for buildings or amenities in parks. As we all know, things do not last forever. So when you start getting in that 15, 20-year time frame, you have to look at roofs or doors and stuff like that. So I want to do a more comprehensive plan so that you as park board know what's out there. We do have a lot invested out there, so we need to make sure that we keep the maintenance up on that. So hopefully I'll have that for next year's budget cycle, more of a comprehensive long-term plan of what we need to do to keep maintaining our stuff. So that would be it on the budget unless somebody's got a question.
Okay.
Wow. We're flying tonight, aren't we?
Okay, moving into other business in regard to the upcoming vote.
So, yeah, I don't even know what day the election is, but the November election, the city, and if you are a resident of the city, you should have received this flyer in the mail. Shauna wanted me to give it out and just do a brief introduction of what it is and what we're planning to do. So you've got another copy for you. If members in the audience didn't get one, let me know. You got yours? Okay, sounds good. So the city's asking for an additional half cent. We already have one out there right now that's taking care of transportation, but this one would be specifically only for $20 million. Let me make sure I'm saying this right. Up to $20 million to address the public safety facility needs, mainly the police department. And then a second question is up to 7.5 million for regional trail connections. So, not to say that the public safety buildings of not less importance, it is very important to the city. But as park board, I wanted to just briefly talk a little bit about the regional trail connection. And what that regards is connecting Wobegon in River's Edge Park up to the Ricori Trail Glacial Lakes that intersect, where we would dead end ours would be is on County Road 138 and 94. So it would follow the road all the way out there. So that would be our last regional connection that we have to any other communities. So this could also address safe crossings at either Division Street or 23 also. All to be determined. Once, if it passes, then we can start working on what that looks like. The thing about the sales tax for the folks here in the room and anybody listening at home is 80% of the money collected on sales tax comes from people that do not live in Waite Park. We are a regional shopping center, so if you want to put it in perspective, if it's going to cost the city $7.5 million to do these trails, if the vote passes, the city of Waite Park only has to pay $1.5 million. The residents will pay 1.5 of that. The rest of the $6 million would come from other people that come into our community and shop. And the same on the 20 million for the public safety, that turns into about 4 million that would come from residents. 16 of that million comes from outside. So I just urge everybody to, if you don't have the information on the sales tax referendum, please feel free to come to City Hall or call City Hall to get more information about it. And you know, take your time at looking at it, and hopefully you read through the information and understand what the needs are and how we plan on asking to fund it. So I will leave it up if anybody has questions.
This may be a council question, but do they sell bonds for this then? Because you're not going to wait 20 years to collect the money to do
Correct,
it,
yeah.
so.
You want the plumber's viewpoint? That's what I call myself, yeah. I'm not a financial guy. I would assume they're selling bonds, and yeah, but that'd be the finance director more than anybody.
Well, I was just curious, because
Yeah.
if it's spread over 19 years or 20 years,
Right.
can't wait that long.
No, we wouldn't wait either, so. Any other questions in the audience? Anybody have anything? No? Okay.
Okay, our next meeting is on this,
Nope, I have one more item, John.
Warren.
So, no, unfortunately, I don't have the techie ability to put stuff on the screen tonight for you. So I met with two individuals or two gals from United Way this morning about a possible United Way project that they would like to see Waite Park get involved with. And it's called the Born, like Born, B-O-R-N, Learning Trail. It's, the best way to put it, it's like our Healthy Living Trail, but for preschool kids. So it would have different signs on it, and there's sidewalk paintings that are done, or trail paintings, or whatever, to initiate kids, and they walk up to a sign and whatever it is, and they can read it, or the parents read it, and then have them do certain activities. There's a number out there. I did, right before the meeting, get an email from Steph from United Way that's got some information. I will definitely forward that to you folks in the next day or so. It's got a website. There's places to look on videos to see what it looks like. So it's all funded through United Way, and I believe Affinity Bank is putting some money into this too. So at this point, it doesn't appear that there's any cost to the city except for designating a trail in our trail system for this.
So it would be part of a trail system that already exists.
Correct.
So you're not adding, you're just adding to the trail that's already there.
Right. So so what's gonna happen here, and I'll explain a little bit more, but I asked these two gals to come to our next meeting in December to actually do a little bit of a pitch for it and bring some information. And hopefully we have some technology so we can actually broadcast what it looks like. So that's gonna come on December 7th, so they will be coming for us. What they were targeting Rock Island Trail. That's where they were looking at. After talking to him about it, I said, I just want you to be aware, it's a hidden park, it's a hidden trail. It's in multifamily, hidden by multifamily and commercial. And so we have had vandalism out there, and to the point where we've lost a number of trees because they have just stripped trees, look like a tornado goes through. They've damaged our swings, so we don't even put our bench swings out there anymore. So, and I think that's all in part of just being hidden and nobody sees anybody in there, So I cautioned them, I said, you need to talk about that within your organization, if this is really the right spot, because I'd hate to see them put up a couple $1,000 worth of signs and posts and then have them all either damaged with graffiti or the post broken, and it just doesn't look nice out there. Her point is that the reason they chose that was because of the proximity to the apartments and the preschoolers and that, which makes perfect sense. That's kind of why they're looking in the old Public Works for the cop house too, so. And so everything is kind of lined up that it would be the perfect spot, but until I think we figure out what we're doing with the Public Works building and where it's gonna go, what happens with it, until we can actually get parking for that park, because it's landlocked. There is no public access per se. There's no way to park your car and go in there. You can park at the Public Works, but there's no dedicated paid parking for it. So I suggested that we look at Lions Park, because we have that small parking lot off of the county road there. And I said, well, how long do you need it? And they go, well, we don't really need it all that long. And you'll see that when you look at some of the information. I said, why don't you consider that? So they're gonna talk to their supervisor about it and actually do a site visit here, I think, this week yet, and get back to me of what they think is of that area. If in fact the cop house would move into the old Public Works, or what we call 602 at some point, and that gets redone, well, then you take that whole lot and take it from a contractor's lot, piles of dirt and gravel, and you would actually take that all out, put some grass back there, and you make it a park setting where it would just flow. And then you also have the PD presence that's coming and going all the time, so that might help with some of the vandalism that's occurring out there. And then I said, so maybe we do 2 parks in the future, or we just take the stuff from Lions Park and move it over there someday. So they were excited about that. So I know it's a lot of information. It's hard to understand what it is without pictures. Trust me, I had a hard time following this morning until they showed me some pictures of what it is. It fits our strategic plan to a T, and that was part of it, and I know Roger sat in on that. Bruce, were you on that too? No, just Roger. So that fits a need that we were looking for, education for younger kids. They're looking at doing it for different ethnicities, Spanish and the Somalian language, and trying to do some things that way. So it checks a lot of good boxes that there's not one in the area, and if Waite Park could be one of the first ones. Their only issues they're trying to figure out is how they measure the usage of it. And one of their thoughts was to do a QR code on the signs, and then they could link with that back to a website, or they could do things on interpretive things, so you can walk up to with your phone, do it, and then you could listen to somebody, or it pops up a video or something like that. So, I'm very excited. I think it's really not a lot of cost to the city. We still have to work out, if in fact this all moves forward, I would probably ask the park board next, in December, to make a recommendation, yea or nay on it, and at whatever location they come up with. Then that would go to the council in January at some point. We'll have to work up an agreement with United Way on it. And then work out whatever the maintenance is of it. So are they expecting Public Works to maintain the signs? If one gets broke, do we have to do it? Are we responsible for it to put it back? Are they gonna do it? The paintings on the trail itself will have to be, I told them, they're gonna have to be touched up every spring after the snowfall, because we're plowing it, so they're gonna have to be freshened up, and they got volunteers, so anyway, there'll be a lot more information coming next December, or December's meeting on that. So any questions on that, or if you guys heard of this before, anybody? Yeah, I think it's a good thing. It's just one more amenity that we can offer that's unique.
May I ask a question or two?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. You briefly early talked about moving Jagello swings, possibly.
Well,
Okay,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking down the road, I'm thinking
Yeah.
domino effect. If that were to Rock Island, which I think is an excellent location because of the residents around there. But again, without the cop house there, you are really landlocked, and the security of it.
right.
So, as a board, you all are looking at a domino effect. First, the sales tax has to be passed, then the cop house has to be located. And 602, is it rented right now? Is there a lease on there with Centricare?
Yeah,
How long?
till next October.
Okay. So, I mean, there's that domino effect, but as a past board member, that's a lovely location for it, except for the geese. Other than that, it's a perfect location. It really is. Just that walking trail. When I worked with the festival, the Way Park Festival, and we would do, and with the Boys and Girls Club, we would do fishing tournaments there. And the folks that walk that from those apartments, it's amazing, the number of folks that walk there. You could do, for the United Way, they could do some kind of like almost like a trail cam to do a count as people come in and use things, if they wanted to, but that also is a vandalism issue too.
Right.
So,
It's unfortunate, yes.
yeah, so that was just my 2 cents. I think it's a lovely idea, and especially if United Way is willing to do it.
Right. Yeah.
And then when you're done, I have one more thing before you wrap up.
No, I am done, Jeannie.
Y'all done?
Anybody else have any questions on that? Okay.
All right. This just came up, about a month ago. Janice and I talked about it briefly. The American Water Works Association. There's a Leonard N. Thompson Award. And Mr. Thompson worked for the City of St. Paul Utilities Commission from 1912 until 1964. And it really does come down to his excellence in service for making sure that water was safe for the community of St. Paul, and his dedication to that city. So in honor of his hard work and appreciation, they made an award. And our very own Bill received that award. It's given out annually. It's a distinguished and very successful award. So we want to acknowledge Bill this evening, say congratulations, job well done. We are very lucky to have you in this city, and Kudos to you, sir. Kudos. I'm done.
Thank you.
Any other business that should come up this evening? If not, I have a mention that our next meeting will be on December 7th at 6:30. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Are we on?
Congratulations, Bill.
Do you know how hard?